My 28 female, estranged husband, 28 male, agreed to a generous divorce settlement, but there's a catch. I met my husband at university, and we ended up getting married at 21 after we found out I was pregnant. Both of our families were against it, but we didn't care at the time. When our son was 2, we went on holiday with my in-laws to their family villa. Whilst we were there, our son had an accident when it was just me and him. He didn't make it. I can't put into words what that type of guilt and grief does to a person, and I couldn't bear to be around my husband or his family after. My parents immediately moved me back home with them after the funeral, and I haven't spoken to or seen my husband since. I genuinely think both of our parents were relieved that our sham marriage was finally over. The only person from my husband's family I've been in contact with is my sister-in-law. I visit my son's grave on his birthday every year, and my sister-in-law helps make sure I don't bump into my husband whilst I'm there, since he also visits on the same day. This year I decided it would be best for us to finally divorce instead of continuing to live in limbo. I asked my sister-in-law for his contact information yesterday so that I could file. She asked me why I wanted it, and I told her I planned to make our divorce official. She never replied to me after that. A few hours later, I received a text from an unknown number. After a bit of back and forth, I found out it was my husband, and he wanted to meet up one last time for closure, and he'd guarantee I got a generous divorce settlement in exchange. He also promised to make sure the process was as quick and clean as possible if I agreed to this meeting. I don't have the mental energy or financial resources to go through a messy divorce. Financially, my husband can afford to drag this out a lot longer than me. I don't know if he would do that, but it's been a long time since I've seen him. I don't know if a meeting is a good idea, but I feel like I owe him it too. What do I do? TLDR. My husband and I married despite the disapproval of both of our families after we found out I was pregnant. Our son tragically died at 2 years old when it was just the two of us whilst on a family holiday. I couldn't be around my husband or his family after that, and we split up. We've had no contact since, but after his sister informed him I was planning to file for divorce, he reached out and wants to meet up for closure in exchange for a generous divorce settlement and a quick and easy divorce. Edit. Just to clears things up. After the accident, all my husband wanted to do was talk about what happened. When I told him I couldn't, he started withdrawing. By the time the funeral happened, we were barely speaking to one another. My parents suggested I come home with them temporarily, and when I mentioned it to my husband, he said he thought it was a good idea. So, I went. My parents eventually had me committed after several failed suicide attempts. When I came home, I asked my parents if my husband had tried to contact me, and they said no. I assumed he didn't want to speak to me anymore, so I never reached out. As someone who has had to bury their child too, I completely understand the urge to run. I didn't at the time, but the fallout ultimately led to the demise of our relationship 3 years on. That said, you absolutely should meet with him. Not for the money, or an easier divorce. But because you both deserve closure. You loved each other once, and you are forever bonded by your beautiful child. Nothing will ever change that. I know the thought of seeing him after so long is probably daunting, but it might be something that you didn't know how much you needed to do for you, as well as the closure you can give to him. I hope that you've been going to bereavement counseling, and I send you all of the love from my heart. Losing my daughter was the worst thing that has ever happened to me, so I completely empathize with your situation. Good luck! How can someone just up and leave their kids? My wife left 7 months ago and now has almost nothing to do with her kids outside messaging them occasionally and the odd phone call. She has seen them twice in the last 4 weeks. 5 kids, she just had to have a big family, and now I can't understand it. She left and went and stayed in a caravan park with a few permanent residents. She took herself off her antidepressants and hung out with her new friends and drank and did Christ knows what for 6 months. She is now in love with the owner of the park, who is 14 years older than her. She is 43. His wife left him about the same time she left me, maybe a bit later. She says she knows she's messed up and that she owns her mistakes, but she has only told me that, not the kids. She said she was going to do family counseling to try and fix things. She hasn't. Everything she says she will do, she doesn't. Ring the kids every night? That lasted 3 nights. Come visit or take them out every other weekend lasted a couple of weeks. Now I'm the bad guy. This is my fault because when she asked me to go and stay at my mother's I refused. She could have gone to her parents but she didn't want to, so she went to the caravan park instead. She turned down rental properties and quit one job and lost the other. Yet I'm to blame? She has no money, no job, and is leaving with an old man who I can't see wanting to take on her and her kids. For 7 months she hasn't been able to tell us what she's going to do. She acts as though she's done nothing wrong. Here's the kicker. She had to have the kids stay with her at Easter. The owner of the park, her now boyfriend, got drunk that night and sent her a text describing what he wanted to do to her sexually, a woman he'd known 3 weeks that he knew was vulnerable. My 17-year-old found her reply typed out on her phone. It makes me sick. I think he's a predator, but she says he's not because he was sorry. I think he was only sorry because it didn't get him a root. Now she says I didn't provide for my family those years we were broke and struggling. I thought we were a team. When she finally started working after her dad got her a job, I thought we would have our turn, build something together, leave a good life. Nope. She spent her money as fast as she could and never really contributed to the household or kids. It was our money until she got a job, then her money was hers. I'm starting to think now that almost 20 years of struggling with mental illness and being on many different medications left her unable to feel much at all, let alone love me. I don't think she ever really bonded with the kids. I mean, how else has it been so easy for her to just ignore them? I know I wasn't a perfect husband, but I loved her. I thought I was supporting her, but now she makes me question everything. I'm fine with her leaving me, it had to happen. It's for the best for me and I'm doing okay with that side of things. I have more money than ever, the house is tidy, and I'm hardly ever worried or stressed. I've reconnected with my oldest friend and 2 of the kids have said that the vibe around the house is better, and that they feel as though we've grown closer since she left, but I just can't let go of what she's doing to them. The 3 littlest are in counseling at school, my second oldest hates her, and my oldest is just lost some days and has ruined his last year of school. They all want their mother in their lives. If I try and talk to her about it we just argue, so I don't. Then it builds up in me again and after a few more weeks I'm trying to get her to do something, anything. I just don't get it. How does someone do that to the people who love them and need them the most? I've been lurking here for ages now and have a couple of times tried to get this out but haven't been able to. This is only the half of it too. I'm at a loss. I know I have to let it go, but how can I when the kids will, without a doubt, bring it up at least once a day? Listen to this crap. So, me and my husband haven't been married a year yet but been together for 3 years. I told him I wanted a divorce after he accused me of cheating because I went to the bar with my aunt and uncle, which is hardly ever. My problem with him is, for years I always was the one that had to pay for everything and put everything in my name. Him, his daughter, 8, and his mom have lived with me. In California we struggle a lot for no reason, but he spent money all the time and had nothing to show for it, and every time he blew his money I got stuck paying for it because, 1. I like having stuff. 2. It's in my name, so at the end of the day my responsibility. At the beginning of the year we moved to Idaho. He did better with his spending but still messed up a little. Originally when we moved it was just me and him and things were good. Once his mom and daughter moved here all hell broke loose again. His mom got here and seen how much cheaper it is and was like, I'm not working, it's not that expensive here. For example, within 1 month of them being here, our electricity bill went from $40 to $500. Which is ridiculous because we have solar and our electricity bill is usually cheap. I even price checked it with my neighbor who has 4 in their household. Their bill never went past $60. I have 2 vehicles, mine's and my truck that he drives. His mom will just take the keys and just leave without asking. Mind you, nobody offers to help me pay the car note, him nor me, knowing damn well it's in my name and she is not insured, so if she was to get pulled over, there goes my truck. So since June, it's now October 1st, all she has done is sit on the couch and do nothing. My apartment is completely destroyed by his daughter and I will have to pay extra money when I move because of the damage. Also, they don't discipline her and let her disrespect adults because her mom isn't in the picture, so they don't want to hurt her feelings by saying something to her. There are more issues, but I would be writing all night long. Once I said I wanted a divorce. At first he wasn't happy because he doesn't want to get a divorce, but he said he'd rather get one than tell his mom she has to find a job. He accepted me to put up and shut up, so once I wasn't, he had a problem with me. How messed up can you be? You rather work your wife harder because you don't want to tell your mom to get a job. Technically, if it wasn't for me, there would be no apartment, no truck, no nothing. What kind of BS is that? I don't understand why people think they got a free ride, or a husband that uses the excuse of being married as a reason to put up with BS. 13 years of marriage ending in the most extreme way imaginable. Rocky marriage with high peaks and low valleys. Super volatile with a lot of name-calling on both sides, and soon-to-be ex-wife getting physically violent on several occasions. Only in the past 2 years have I learned about her history of mental illness stemming from a traumatic childhood. Feel bad for her, but she has projected it all on me. She had an order of protection served, which means I cannot see my kids until at least the hearing. It was completely unwarranted and seems I have absolutely no defense. Apparently, she has been conspiring a story of me as an abuser through a social worker for the last 9 months. This was written in the OOP and helped me understand why she has been so taunting and antagonizing this year. She's trying to invoke a response. I'm the sole income earner. She hasn't worked in 12 years. She's fighting for full custody of our kids and propagating a false narrative on social media of me as an abuser. I gave this woman everything. I still cannot believe she jumped to this extreme without just sitting down and working through a divorce civilly. Will a court recognize this? Will they see the parallels between these actions and her history of mental illness? I want to be cordial, but I'm under attack. I desperately want my kids to have a safe home where they can grow and thrive. Anyone with similar experiences? How did it play out? Soul is crushed. I, 32 female, am ready for the split from him, 33 male. Sorry for grammar and spelling mistakes. English is not my first language. After walking on eggshells for so many years with him, I have had enough. He constantly yells and I am sick of verbal abuse. And the kicker is that he seems unaware of how unhappy I am, even though I have told him many times. He just doesn't get it. I fell out of love with him because of the constant fighting and verbal abuse, but I deal with it for the sake of our kids, and he happens to yell at them all the time, and sometimes it scares me. I wanted to tell him about wanting divorce for years, but I just can't do it. I am afraid of everything about the process, and I do not want to lose our home and kids and friends, etc. We did have a marriage counselor for almost 2 years, but I was sure things would get bad eventually. I think things got better for some time, but it is now back to what it was. We just moved to a new state, so that has been stressful. But I have been trying to spend more time with him. We go out, to restaurants or shopping, sometimes, and I try to do nice things for him, but I always have a feeling that something will go wrong because he will yell/insult me for the smallest things. Though we had not argued in probably several weeks and I thought things were getting better, the other day we had an argument in the car that just blew my mind and confirmed why I just can't love him anymore. It's been about a week since we have spoken after our big fight. Because basically I refuse to accept yelling and abuse, and avoiding talking seems to help avoid these outbursts. I know he has been under ton of stress from a new job, why we moved. But he takes it out on me. He works from home these days, but anytime I even try to ask him about something I get a grumbly response. The other day I kind of got frisky with him and he just blew up at me and said I constantly prevent him from working and to go away. I just went away in tears. As I was leaving the room, he followed me and yelled at me more for going away, and so loud that the kids could hear. I know he's busy and stressed, but I don't think I deserve this. I have asked him to do a few things around the house, repair things, mow lawn, but he just says he has no time. He will sometimes agree, but he just never does it. So we have to spend money on paying people to do these things. I know he has the time because I hear him playing video games or talking on the phone to his friends for much of his work day. He also wastes lots of money on so many things and never tells me, and it makes me so mad, but he ignores me for this. Sometimes I find myself staring out of the window and just crying my eyes out. And looking back, I think I have been mostly sad and upset this past year. Like my mental health is taking a spiral downward. I wonder what it would be like to be free from all of this, and have control over my own destiny and my future. Please advice. Dumpay, it actually gets better quicker than you think. Life after divorce. Maybe this will give hope to others just starting this journey. I know I have a long road ahead of me with ups and downs, but lately I've been feeling quite good. I started dating my soon-to-be ex-wife when I was 14 years old. We were together 19 years. We divorced 5 weeks ago and separated 4 weeks ago. Our crisis started at summer, but she started to be really honest and cold in July. She said she didn't love me anymore and felt things got platonic. She had been thinking of divorce for a year. I basically started my panic and grief in July. I completely broke down, took a sick leave for 3 weeks, started antidepressants, and I just obsessed about everything for that time. I tried to fix the situation, but she had already checked out and my actions just further pushed her away. If I could go back, I wouldn't try to fix anything. Just say how I feel and let her go. She lost respect for me with my begging, so it didn't help at all, and later she told me that trying to fix things proved more that she wanted out. So we basically ended our relationship and broke our family in 2 months. Think about it. 19 years, marriage, a child, a mortgage. It's now been 2 weeks since I have felt depressed, and I'm surprised how quick that has been. Maybe I'm also numb, but I don't really care that much anymore for a person who quit on me, and I've started to realize I can't stay in the sadness. I have to move forward and look for silver linings. Since I've never been alone, this is the time to get independent and stay single, although I'm going to look for some small flings when I'm ready, but nothing too serious. I've accepted the reality. I've realized that she doesn't indicate my value, I do. No contact has really helped me get over her. She isn't part of my life anymore, there's no use thinking what she is doing. I realized last week this is the first time in my life that I can create a life that suits me, with no compromises. I've also realized that since she is the only girl I've ever been with, I have no idea if she even was the one for me. Being alone doesn't feel bad at all, missing your partner does, but it gets better with time. Kids, friends, hobbies, partying, music, career, is what brings me joy, so I'm using my free time on those. I'm in the best shape of my life and at a prime age, early 30s. World is mine. How I'm handling communication with her proves to me, and her, I can be compassionate, learn from my mistakes, and be a good person even when things are rough. I do feel sad that I will never have a connection like this again, based on that we grew up together, experienced so many things first time together, and I have a hard time believing I will experience such a long relationship ever again, but who knows. I've done my best to keep contact to minimal and be civil, and, to tell you the truth, I hope that in future we might have a chance to reconcile, but at the moment this is my reality and I've got to invest in me and leave in the moment. Grow, be the best version of me and enjoy my new life. Looking for experiences and tips from people with same kind of background.